little bit of crown, sitting alone at this old bar, just another night in a nobody knows me town. A little bit of crown, reminiscing all the things I'm living, but missing all the things I'm missing gets me down. A little bit of crown helps me get through the night sometimes when I can't seem to figure things out. A little bit of crown helps me forget the thoughts of you, baby, not being around. So, ooh, baby, there will always be this part of me that can't get over what you meant to me, baby. 'Cause you were my world, and I can still see the look in your eyes the day you told me your goodbyes, baby. So tonight I'm gonna drown in a little bit of crown. A little bit of crown, one more shot for me might just set me free from this memory. A little bit of crown, I'm seeing you holding on to him with what once was how it used to be.
As promised, he is joining me. Who is the he? That is Matthew Huff, our art spotlight, joining me from Dallas, Texas right now. Matthew, thank you so much for being here with us.
Hey, man, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's always an honor, a pleasure to get to actually share a little bit about myself to people.
Well, you know, there's a lot to you, and we're going to get into that. But first of all, I want to say congratulations on the Male Vocalist of the Year for the modern category of the Josie Show Country Blast radio show. You just won in September.
That's right.
And then, come on out, give it up, don't be so humble. You also were nominated 4 times for the International Music and Entertainers Association, and you won Country Male Artist of the Year and the Hip Hop Rap Song of the Year. Congratulations.
Yeah, how's that for eclectic, right?
Yeah, you got to love. Especially, I was going to ask you about the hip hop rap, but no, but seriously,
man,
go ahead.
Yeah, that just threw in my face. Actually, there was a kid I met last year or 2 years ago now at the IMEAs, and he just ran. We chatted for a minute. You know, it was one of those things where you meet somebody and you know you don't expect much out of it, but he wanted to do a collaboration, so he sent me his work, and basically he just wanted me to feature on it. So I can't take a whole lot of credit for that song, but it was pretty cool to be honored.
Here's the thing. I mean, you have that kind of diversity where, you know, you can get hip-hop rap. And by the way, in my opinion, you hear a lot of that, anymore in country music a little bit. Aldine, Jason's doing it, right? So Colt Ford's doing it, right? So I really think if somebody had told me 10 years ago that there would be hip-hop or rap in country music, I would say, really? But you know what? It seems to fit. What do you think about the transition we've gone from the old traditional country western to what we have today?
You know, I have mixed views on it. Is it smart? Yes, because, you know, they basically took, you know, what could have been classified as an older genre of people, you know, back in your 80s and your 90s, country music, and basically all they did is they transformed the listenership, you know, the viewership, if you will, and made it more of a pop culture for country, basically. And so to me it was smart for the category of country music, and it was definitely a jump, you know, from what the 80s and the 90s music. If you go back and listen to it, you know, you got groups like Shenandoah back then, they were doing harmonies, or, you know, Black Hawk, and now you got Florida Georgia Line. I mean, you can't, those are two opposite spectrums, you know, but they draw in two totally different fan bases as well.
So basically you're saying, in a couple of things, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it was a good business decision, right? Is that what you're saying?
Look at the money they've generated, you know. So yeah, I mean, you can't deny it was smart. Now, was it true to country? No, not by any means. At least not my personal opinion. But it's just kind of the evolution of music. You know, if you go back and look at how it's kind of transformed, I would say Garth Brooks had something to do with that.
Yeah, and I would. And I got to tell you this, and I've said this for many years, that what I'm hearing today in country music, besides, you know, the hip hop rap, and by the way, I think you were talking about going into the demographic. They were going into the demographic that was buying their music. I kind of get that.
Right.
But I've said for a long time that I hear today's country music as, and I'm a product of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and my mother and father, you can do the math, much older than that, of country music, but I hear Southern rock a lot in the music today. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree totally. You hear a lot of heavy guitar now, you know, and some of it's, you know, even distorted guitar. Thomas Rhett does a lot of it in some of his stuff as well. But you hear a lot of electric, whereas back in the day you didn't really hear a lot of it. It was way more, I wouldn't say folk, but it did kind of have more folk appeal back in the day.
All right, now we're going to step back a little bit and go back to some of your beginning days, if you will. I understand you're a school teacher. You had a 6-year career teaching. How do you go from? Well, first of all, tell us about, because you know I wanted to be a teacher as well. So tell us how you got into that, and then we'll leap and how do you got into to music.
Yeah, you know, even when I was teaching or going in college, people ask me what made me want to go into education. I don't really know the answer to that, and even today, I don't really know. It's just kind of something I was drawn to, and both my grandparents taught at some level, and those are the only educators really in my family. But it's just one of those things that I don't really have a good explanation. That's kind of the way I was drawn to that profession. And man, I loved it. Like, I loved the kids and the teaching aspect. A lot of aspects, I won't discuss on air, but if, you know, we want to sit down and have a drink, I would love to discuss my dislikes about it. But, you know, for me, it was the music kind of just happened around 2008. I wrote a song called Back Again, which some of my fans that go back in the day would definitely recognize too. That song was the beginning of my music career, and pretty much, you know, one of the stronghold staples that got me started and got me out of teaching. I had it was my first song to ever cut in studio, and I knew nothing. It was kind of like getting a puppy when you're 6 and you don't even know how to feed it or what food to feed, you know.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that helped me in a sense because I went in blind. I had no stigmas, you know, I had no negatives. So for me, it was like, man, I'm going to do this. And basically I cut the song, printed them up, did all the packaging, got all the labels, basically everything I needed to do to shop it to Music Row. And so that song, I purchased 2 music promoters. There are two of the best indie promoters in Nashville, very reputable, and they shopped the song up to number 39 on Music Row. And I was a brand new artist with my very first song, no label, no money, and the song hit top 40. So that's kind of got me kick-started, and that was my end-all of teaching. That was my deciding factor to go into music full-time.
Now, I know you have roots to Arkansas. I know from a business point of view, I lived in Arkansas, in Malvern, Arkansas for about a year. But when the tornadoes hit here a few years back, you actually did something special. What did you do? Tell our listeners what happened.
Yeah, the day that the tornadoes came through central Arkansas, I'd actually just drove through I-40 at the spot it crossed, and I was heading back to Nashville. I was staying in Nashville at the time, and got there, man, and like by the time I got back to Nashville, I was starting to catch my Twitter feed about tornadoes coming through. It was pretty heavy, and when I got into Nashville, got to the apartment, clicked on the Weather Channel, and for them to be advertising like nonstop, I knew it was pretty bad. Or to be throwing their feed from there, you know. So basically, the next day, I think it was, next evening, started writing This Is Our Home, and just luck would have it, one of my good friends in Nashville, Lance Carpenter, is an also a singer-songwriter artist. Got together with him, and we knocked the thing out the next day. And within like a 3-4 day period while I was in Nashville, I was on a crunch. We not only finished writing the song, put it into what we were going to just do, a demo, turned into be a fully produced track of it. And then within probably 18 hours of that, I'd received a phone call from people organizing this big event for the two towns, Bologna and Mayflower, for their baseball teams. It was baseball season at the time. They were doing a huge benefit at AAA stadium back in Little Rock, so they wanted me to come be a part of that. So it was, man, like 4 days, it just kind of all that happened real quick. And This Is Our Home still a song that people recognize.
Now, the reason I bring that up, and this is for our listeners, is all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds from that song go, and I'm assuming they still go back to a disaster relief for Arkansas.
That's right. I've not received a dime off the song, and it's going to be on my 4th upcoming album, but you can go get it on iTunes. It's available on digital download right now.
I went back. I did my military time in the early '80s. Then I went back in the 2000s in the Guard Reserves and stuff. And actually, I got sent to Napanee, Indiana, and a tornado just went through there. People, unless you've gone through or even seen the devastation that causes, it's like somebody put a bomb in this town. It was just crazy. So go ahead.
I was going to say it is exactly like that. It's on big tornadoes like that, when you're driving through it, like you can't even fathom what you're seeing. Like nothing looks real. And my dad worked some of the Katrina efforts after Hurricane Katrina went through, and I probably came in. He got me in down there. I went down on my spring break one year. This was while I was still teaching, and man, I can't compare anything to what I saw in Katrina except for this tornado that came through Central Arkansas. The damage was just so heavy, but it's something that you hope you never live through. And I actually had one day when I came home to assist or help, and went through and helped this gentleman and lady pick up their field. Like they'd lost all their cattle, and there was just stuff. I mean, it looked like miles of just debris, that they were piling up. But it was nuts. It was insane.
Have you been back to? By the way, we're talking about what is it, Mammoth Springs, correct? In that area there.
That's where I grew up. This was actually in Central Arkansas.
Okay.
Near Conway, Arkansas. Bologna and Mayflower were the two towns that got hit.
Have you been back there and talked to any of the people since that has gone down?
I've been back several times, but I haven't been back to the areas that were really hit the hardest. The bypass is basically goes around all that area, but I mean, you can still tell. You can see where it went through, and one spot from the highway you can see was Bologna had just built a brand new elementary school. The kids hadn't even got to use it yet. They were going through the final touches, and it completely wiped it out. But you can tell that they've got a ton of work done to that school. So they had to go back and completely redo it.
All right, here we're going to switch gears again. And I'm telling you, this question is something I ask, and I have for many years now, especially of our independent artists. I have talked to, and if you go out on our website, by the way, everybody, www.avradio.org, you can see the artists we've had the opportunity to spotlight throughout the years. And I've talked to recording artists and independent artists. And so here's where I'm going with this. I know there's this, and it's not new anymore, but a trend where let me rephrase this. Are you looking for a big record deal, or are you perfectly happy being independent because you have more control?
Yeah, this is obviously a common question from even people you meet out at shows. But my answer is always I'm looking for the right deal. It's not necessarily the big deal or a record deal, and people get very skewed that don't have the knowledge of the business, because to some people they think that that's all that's out there is a record deal. And I can't tell you how many small little, quote unquote record deals have come my way that were just junk. They're just trash. And a lot of them, basically are indie deals. I mean, they're everything that I'm doing, they're wanting you to pay for them to do.
Wow.
And so basically, I mean, it's, when people ask me if I, would I accept a record deal? Well, sure I would. If it's the right deal, if it's something that I feel like is going to benefit myself in a career, that I think that's smart in any business. But yeah, I mean, obviously, if capital's coming along and knocking on your door, you're definitely going to pay attention to something like that, But it's always, to me, it's just smart to look for the right deal. Do you lose a percentage of yourself? Yes, but that can sometimes mean be very profitable if it's, you got the right people working the right products, pushing you in the correct way, getting you good co-writes. I mean, there's so many elements to it people don't understand. But so yeah, to answer your question, if it was the right deal, sure I would.
So what you're saying is, and I get that, but like I said, we were talking about business. I'm kind of a business guy myself, so I kind of get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is nice, and here again, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think it is nice to know that you have a little more control being an independent artist.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, top to bottom, you get to call the shots. Now, there's obviously more exposure if you're on a major label. You obviously have the exposure is at hand where you get to focus more on your music. At an indie career, you're hustling every avenue. I basically play booking agent, website designer, most of the time set up the interviews. I mean, you're basically doing all of it, so it does take away from your time with the music, and you don't have the connections a lot of the times that the majors play. It's going to be hard for a guy like me to hop on a Jason Aldean tour,
Right.
So, but there's definitely pros and cons to both. And I think an indie career, man, it's so awesome to think that you basically did it on your own. You did all the elements, and there's tons of indies out there that are pulling 1,200, 1,500 seat venues and pack them out. So I think it's cool. You definitely have room for growth.
So how has social media helped you in your career?
Well, I mean, obviously social media is at everyone's disposal, and for me, it's been hit or miss at times, and obviously you get into a stalemate where you kind of feel like you peak out, but for me, I always tell people I took a class on social media, on the Facebook, the Twitter, and basically they've limited their viewership for posts that are marketing based so much. Like, I think the numbers were somewhere around 5 to 6% of what you post. Or no, what you post, 5 to 6% of your viewers actually see it. So they basically have restricted your viewership on what you're posting. So, but no, it's been good. I mean, obviously it's a free avenue for you to use, and as an independent, anything free that's going to be put you out to people is always a plus.
Well, it's ironic you say that real quickly, the fact about they're restricted, because my producer, Rose out of New York, always tells me, they're restricted and they're restricted and they're restricted. So, she's kind of right there with you. Now, how can people, if they wanted to go on tour with you, how do they find that? Mm-hmm. How do they go out and buy your music, so on and so forth?
So are you saying just to somebody that doesn't know me?
Yes.
Or
yes,
like an artist? Another artist?
No. How can just the people who are listening to us, they wanted to go check you out. How do they go find out what your tour is and that kind of thing? My
website is, it's a one-stop shop, MatthewHuffOfficial.com. It basically houses everything. One thing that people, it's kind of if you're not an artist, that kind of goes under the radar is Reverb Nation.
Oh, and that's something I love Reverb.
Well, yeah, and you know what? I tell you, for an artist too, it's awesome, and if fans really got tuned into it, they would love it too, because I do a lot of things on there that you can't find anywhere else. Like I may post just an acoustic clip of something, you know, and it may not be anywhere else. And because Reverb's so user friendly, I can basically, like I could go right now and record a soundbite and throw it up on Reverb that you couldn't find anywhere else, you know. So those are some cool avenues. Reverb Nation, my website houses everything, all the links, bio, but of course Facebook, Twitter, those social avenues. Twitter to me is better as far as like one-on-one conversation.
Right.
I feel like Facebook is very hit or miss. Like, what are you going to find in your news feed today? Is it going to be a Matthew Huff post, or are you not going to see any of my posts for the next 6 months?
So let me ask you real quick, and we need to wind this down, but you know, I think the same thing. Once they went public with Facebook, I think it all become a little more commercial, you know, versus what it started out to be, right? Right.
I totally agree. It turned into, the guy's not a billionaire for nothing, you know.
Yeah, so, that's true.
And I honestly, Facebook, for me, I've noticed that I have two pages. I have the quote-unquote friend page, which stays maxed out at 5,000. And I also have the musician page, or the like page, which you have to click the like button. And I've noticed that I get way less response on the like page versus the friend page. And I think it's because they restrict that way more. Like it's automatically set up as a musician page, so they know what you're doing. You're marketing yourself. So I think they've automatically restricted your post to, you know, Facebook. So I don't put a whole lot of stock into social media as much as I used to. I think the best way, and this would be my tip of the day for any artist, would be gather your email addresses, man. That's the most solid way. When you're going to play shows, make sure you're capturing as many email addresses as you can and set up listservs.
Well, Matthew, first of all, I want to say once again how much we love your music here, and I'll tell you, Beth, I hope I'm pronouncing this, Federic. She is phenomenal, and this is how, to be honest, we got turned on to you because Beth was out there doing this, and she's fun. I'm telling you, I don't know your business relationship. I'm just telling you, she's doing a hell of a job promoting you. I just want to tell you.
Well, I know we're still alive, but I believe, and this will be a little tell on myself, but I believe I reached out to you guys probably 3 years ago or something, and I call it doing my homework. I'll get online and just research a bunch of stuff. So, but man, I never got a response until Beth started working for me, and she's only been with me probably mid of this year, and my online presence, like with internet stations and features and articles, I mean, it's increased like 200%. So she's amazing, and everybody in radio seems to love her. So,
and she tunes into the Jim and Vic's Country Cave show, by the way. So, you know, and I feel bad that you say that because we should have caught that. For some reason, you know, we're all volunteers. It just may have, you know, how it is, right? So
yeah, well, it's like anything else. You get so much of an influx of emails and stuff. Lots of things going to the radar. So it's all about persistence, man.
There you go. And you know what? You persisted, and here you are, talking to the world and talking to me, and I'm really privileged to have you. Ladies and gentlemen, please let Matthew Huff know that you heard him on American Veterans Radio, WAVR 97.0. Go out to our website, www.avradio.org. This song we're getting to leave with is 60 Days. This just came out a couple months ago. Tell the story about that, and we'll go out with that.
Okay, well, real quick, I met a guy who is a boat dealer in Arkansas. I'm a huge duck hunter, and I went to pick up some boats with a buddy of mine. And this guy, he's a big owner of Havoc boats, and he was like, "Man, I'd love to have a song, write a song." Well, I took the dude serious, and went back home probably a week or so, wrote this song. It was in the summer of this year, and went out on an acoustic tour for 6 weeks. Came back. I had done my back home fest, and I got sick for 9 days. And as my voice was getting on the mend, I remembered the song, so I pulled it out and just did a little video I threw up on Facebook. The thing got like 112,000 views, or close to it now. But and then the guy never even returned a message back. I sent the song. I was like, hey, I put this together for you. Never responded. So I was like, I'm gonna do it on my own, and basically just took the song in and we cut it in studio, and it's kind of my personal testament to the life of a duck hunter, man. For 60 days, that's kind of what you experience.
It goes back to that persistence, and you know what?
Yeah.
You keep on doing what you're doing, man. It is all good, and wow, we're going to continue to play you as long as you'll allow us right here on the station and let the world know about you every chance we get.
I appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is Matthew Huff's latest song, the one that he set around for